The weaponization committee, Jim Jordan, why are they not calling in? Why are they letting Garland go to Ukraine? Why are they not coming in and keel-hauling him today on this? Why are we not having an emergency hearing on this?
Why hasn't this weaponization committee been doing this? Why is it not ready? And the reason is this is a failure on Jim Jordan's part. He thought he was going to run this committee on his own with his full committee staff who have 1,000 other things going on, and it's structurally set up to fail. It needs to be fixed immediately. Frankly, Jim Jordan should just hand off this weaponization to committee to someone who actually wants to do it. BS that he does. He did the same thing on big tech. He pretends like he's fighting big tech, but he's actually doing big tech's bidding behind the scenes. He pretends like he's taking on the deep state by rolling up his sleeves and going on Fox News and taking credit for other people's oversight. This needs to be taken seriously, and Jim Jordan is just not a serious person.
But Jim,
they laid into Jim Jordan. Yes, Steve Bannon and also Mike Davis, who's president of the Article 3 Project. They don't like these hearings, and at least the way that Jim Jordan is carrying them out. These weaponizations of the federal government against, I guess, just conservatives is what they're believing and they're pushing. But they don't like the way he went about this. Maybe because they watched a few of those instances that happened yesterday. Democrats that were on this hearing and this panel were talking to some of these witnesses that Jim Jordan, other conservatives called in, and they laid into them. This is one of those instances.
Yes, and I referred to that person as a source.
So you're not going to tell us when Musk first approached you?
Again, Congressman, when you're asking me to, you're asking a journalist to reveal a source.
So then you consider Mr. Musk to be the direct source of all this?
No, now you're trying to get me to say that he is the source. I just can't answer your question.
Well, he isn't. If you're telling me you can't answer because it's your source, well, then that the only logical conclusion is that he is, in fact, your source.
Well, you're free to conclude that.
Well, sir, I just don't understand. You can't have it both ways, but let's move on because
no, he can. He's a journalist.
No, he can't because either Musk is the source and he can't talk about it, or Musk is not the source. And if Musk is not the source, then he can discuss.
No one has yielded. The gentlelady's out of order. You don't get to speak.
She's out of order because he's interrupted.
The gentlelady's not
Chairman,
recognized.
you're not recognized.
He has not said that. What he has said is he's not going to reveal his source, and the fact that Democrats are pressuring him to do so is such a violation.
We're asking him about his conversations with Musk.
The gentlelady has not yielded you time.
Man, they were just fighting all over the place. This is a well put together hearing. Much information, I guess, is going to get sent around. Or it's just they want to keep talking about this and getting the folks who follow them that don't really listen to the details to just go, look at the slam dunk that Jim Jordan pulled off. It might not work when you got conservatives like Steve Bannon and them criticizing it though. Or it also might not work when folks like Debbie Wasserman Schultz continue to expose the amateur nature and approach that they've taken regarding this whole thing. There's more.
You stated this on Joe Rogan's podcast about being spoon-fed information, and I quote, "I think that's true of any kind of journalism," and you'll see it behind me here. "I think that's true of any kind of journalism. Once you start getting handed things, then you've lost. They have you at that point, and you got to get out of that habit. You just can't cross that line." Do you still believe what you told Mr. Rogan? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Good. Now, you crossed that line with the Twitter files.
No.
Elon Musk, it's my time. Please do not interrupt me. Elon Musk spoon-fed you his cherry-picked information, which you must have suspected promotes a slanted viewpoint, or at the very least generates another right-wing conspiracy theory. You violated your own standard, and you appear to have benefited from it. Before the release of the emails in August of last year, you had 661,000 Twitter followers. After the Twitter files, your followers doubled, and now it's 3 times what it was last August.
We hadn't heard from Debbie Wasserman Schultz much lately, but man, she laid into him there and exposed exactly the type of journalistic ethics that Matt Taibbi previously hung his hat on, but now finds himself the target of the previous Matt Taibbi, who criticized someone like current Matt Taibbi for being spoon-fed information from someone like Elon Musk, which they all benefited financially from, which she laid out, I think, pretty clearly there. So really fast, Francesca, just to remind everyone, the whole purpose of this hearing is to expose how the weaponization of the government has been unleashed upon folks because of this collusion between the Democrats in power and Twitter because of the policy of not releasing all of these nude pictures of Hunter Biden on Twitter because they thought that's what'll win the election.
Putting a 24-hour hold on that story, which is what AOC exposed in a similar committee, because this is not the only committee that's investigating this. The entire thing is so fun because Jim Jordan's just like, this is not how I scripted it in my, blanket fort last night. Like, you need to stop. Like, no, here's the thing about committees. You're gonna have Democrats on those committees, and those Democrats are gonna get some time to make some points and interview your witnesses. So you better be ready for answers to those questions, and you better have something to say. Otherwise, you're gonna have your ass handed to you. You're gonna look like an idiot. And I'm sorry. Taibbi being defended by Jim Jordan, being interviewed and grilled by Debbie Wasserman Schultz of all people, who I have no love for, but it's just this journalist who I super used to support and respect. The fall from grace could not have been harder. But again, like you said, Jayar, this is just for show. And this is just to say, I investigated it and we proved that big tech is, on the side of the Democrats. How did you prove it? Oh, well, we didn't have the evidence, but we did anyway. Are these hearings televised? They just want to phone it in, and it's exposing the fact that they have no leg to stand on, that in fact, the opposite is true, that time and again, the algorithm and big tech loves misinformation, loves far right news, loves people like Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens, and that Elon Musk at the helm of Twitter only further throws what limited internet we have, the sort of conglomerate monster-like internet that we currently have, throws it in the favor of the right.
They're exposing, honestly, the reasons why authoritarian governments and leaders in other parts of the world limit internet access to many citizens and stuff, because there's too much information flowing, and the lies that potentially are going to get told can easily be debunked. What these Republicans, I think, still hang their hat on is, well, our supporters don't care about facts. We can just continue to lie. But the megaphone is getting bigger of the problems that they're having. When we're seeing the exposing from Fox News to always down to these politicians and the way that they work together in doing so, they're not looking very good, but they're still going to try and scream in their echo chambers. That's kind of all they got left.